The rain had stopped just moments before she arrived. The cemetery still smelled of wet earth and regret. Ana Castillo, a woman whose sharp heels had once echoed through glass office towers, now walked slowly between silent rows of tombstones. Her once confident stride was gone, replaced by hesitant steps that seemed to carry the weight of years she wished she could forget. The world had known her as a successful businesswoman, cold, determined, untouchable. But here, in front of a marble headstone engraved with her son's name, all titles and power meant nothing. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. It helps us keep sharing real, emotional stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Ana knelt beside the grave, her trembling fingers tracing the letters carved into the stone. Gabriel Castillo. 1997 to 2021. Her only son. Her pride. Her failure. He had been everything she worked for, the reason behind every late night at the office, every deal closed, every sacrifice made. But she had worked too hard, and somewhere along the way, she lost him. First emotionally, then completely. A speeding car had taken his life one stormy evening, the night she had missed his call because she was in a meeting. The guilt had built a wall around her heart ever since. As she placed fresh white lilies beside the grave, Ana heard something, soft sobs coming from a few rows away. She turned her head and saw a woman in her late 20s, kneeling near the same area, clutching a small child to her chest. The woman was speaking in Spanish, whispering through tears. The little girl, perhaps 2 years old, was wearing a red dress and staring at Ana with wide, curious eyes. Ana hesitated. Cemeteries were for private grief, and she didn't want to intrude. But something about the young woman's pain drew her in, like a mirror reflecting her own sorrow. She slowly approached, her heels clicking softly against the cobblestone path. When she came closer, she froze. The woman was not in front of a different grave, she was kneeling at Gabriel's. Ana's heart clenched. The woman didn't notice her until she spoke softly, "Excuse me, why are you crying here?" The woman gasped, startled, and immediately stood up, holding the little girl protectively. Her eyes were red and swollen. "Lo siento." "I'm sorry," she said in a trembling voice, struggling with her English. "I didn't mean to." Ana's expression hardened for a moment. "This is my son's grave," she said, her voice shaking. "Why are you here?" The young woman's lips quivered as she looked down at the flowers she had placed beside the headstone, wild daisies, freshly picked, still damp from rain. "He helped me," she whispered. "He saved my life." Ana blinked, confusion and curiosity flickering across her face. The young woman took a deep breath and began to explain. Her name was Lucia Morales. 3 years ago, she had come to the city from Spain with nothing but a suitcase and a dream to start over. She worked long hours cleaning offices, sending money back home, and trying to raise her baby alone after her husband abandoned them. One night, she had been working late in one of the corporate buildings, Ana's building, though she didn't know it then, when she collapsed from exhaustion in the lobby. Most people had walked past, assuming she was fine or just resting. But one young man stopped. He offered her water, helped her up, and insisted on calling her a cab. His name was Gabriel. Lucia's voice cracked as she continued. "He told me not to give up, that people like me deserved better. He said his mother was strong, that she taught him never to turn away from someone who needed help." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "That night, I promised myself I would thank his mother one day. But then, a week later, I heard he died." Ana's legs went weak. Her son, the boy she thought she had lost to ambition and distance, had carried her lessons into the world, even when she believed she had failed him. She had thought he resented her, but in truth, he had become the kind of man she had always hoped he would be. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked at the woman and the child. Lucia gently placed a small photo beside the grave, a worn picture of Gabriel smiling with his arm around a coworker. "I kept this because he reminded me that good people still exist," she said softly. "And when my daughter was born a few months later, I named her Gabriela." The little girl looked up at Ana with innocent eyes, as if sensing the weight of the moment. Something inside Ana broke. The wall she had built around her heart crumbled as tears poured freely down her face. She knelt and touched the child's cheek. "She has his eyes," she whispered. Lucia nodded, her voice trembling. I tell her stories about him. She thinks he was an angel who helped her mama. Anna couldn't speak for a while. She stared at the two of them, the mother and child who had unknowingly carried her son's spirit forward. She realized then that maybe Gabriel's purpose hadn't ended with his death. Maybe he had sent these two to remind her that love doesn't die, it just changes form. For the first time in years, Anna smiled, a fragile, trembling smile that felt like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. She invited Lucia to sit with her. They talked for hours, sharing stories about Gabriel, one from the mother who raised him, and one from the woman he had saved. They cried, they laughed, and slowly, something began to heal inside Anna. In the weeks that followed, Anna couldn't stop thinking about Lucia and little Gabriella. She began visiting them, helping Lucia find stable work at her company, not as charity, but as a way to honor Gabriel's compassion. She even started joining them for Sunday lunches, filling her once empty apartment with the laughter of a child who had become like her own granddaughter. The once icy businesswoman began to rediscover warmth, empathy, and connection, things she had buried beneath ambition. Months passed, and every Sunday, they visited the cemetery together. Anna would bring lilies, Lucia would bring daisies, and little Gabriella would run ahead, placing a small red ribbon on the grave and saying, "Gracias, Angelito Gabriel." Standing beneath the tall trees one bright afternoon, Anna whispered to the grave, "You're still changing lives, my son, even now." And as the breeze moved gently through the leaves, she felt, or perhaps imagined, a familiar warmth brush against her cheek, like a silent thank you from beyond. She closed her eyes and smiled through her tears. If this story has touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. It helps us keep creating stories that remind the world how small acts of compassion can change lives forever. Before we end, we'd love to know what moment of kindness changed your life. Please share your answer in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone who needs hope today. And as Anna, Lucia, and little Gabriella walked away from the grave that day, three hearts, once broken, now beat together in peace, proving that love never truly leaves us. It simply finds new ways to return. Rain had washed away more than just the dirt on the road, it had washed away his despair, his fear, and his loneliness. For the first time in years, he whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude, not for what he received, but for the chance to give, even when he had nothing left. And somewhere, in her home across town, Judge Rebecca Allen smiled as she opened her briefcase. Inside, next to her case files, was the small, rain-stained card Daniel had given back to her when he refused her money. On it, in Lily's handwriting, were the words, "Daddy says kindness always comes back." The storm had passed. But the memory of that rainy day, of a stranger's selfless act, would forever remind them both that sometimes, fate doesn't need a courtroom to deliver justice. It only needs a little kindness.